Welcome back, everyone, to Chat Like a Native. This is our deep dive into English communication, really designed to help you sound, well, more natural, more confident. Today, we're tackling two words. They seem simple, maybe too simple. Get and take. They, winner. But honestly, mastering the alternatives, that can really unlock a whole new level of precision in your English. Have you ever felt that? Maybe you're talking, explaining something, perhaps at work, and you just keep saying get or take. It feels easy, yeah. But then maybe you wonder, is my message actually clear? Does it sound a bit, I don't know, repetitive, vague? If that sounds familiar, then yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you.
Oh, absolutely. So true. Get and take, they're incredibly common, super versatile. But relying on them too much, it definitely can make your speech less precise, less impactful. Think of it like if you were describing a beautiful painting. You wouldn't just use red and blue, would you? You'd want all the shades, all the colors to really capture it. Learning better words for get and take gives you that, like, a bigger linguistic palette. It lets you choose the perfect word for this situation. That makes you sound more professional, more expressive, and just clearer. That's really how you start chatting like a native, making those intentional word choices.
Love that, the linguistic palette. That's a great way to put it. So, okay, over the next few minutes, we're going to explore why these words get overused. We'll look at some really powerful alternatives you can start using, like, right away. And we'll give you some solid practical tips for remembering them and, importantly, avoiding some common traps. It's like an upgrade for your everyday English. So let's start with the core issue. Why are get and take such a problem sometimes? They're flexible, sure, you can plug them in almost anywhere, but that flexibility, like you said, it's also their weakness, isn't it?
It really is. Because they're so general, they often create vagueness, repetition too. It can make your English sound less
Yeah.
precise, almost like you're still searching for the right word.
Yeah, okay.
Just think about this example. I got the book.
Okay.
What does that actually tell you?
How did I get it?
Did I find it? Was it a gift? Did I buy it?
Right, it's totally unclear. Could be anything.
Exactly. But if I say, I borrowed the book, or I received the book, or maybe I bought the book.
Oh, okay. Instantly clearer, right? Suddenly, the picture is much sharper, much more vivid. That's the aha moment we want you to have. Moving from fuzzy to high definition just by picking a better verb. Wow. Yeah, when you put it like that, it's really eye-opening. I'm already thinking of times I've defaulted to get and missed that chance for that high-definition picture. It's like using a blunt pencil when you had sharp-colored ones right there. Does using these general verbs all the time maybe signal something to native speakers, like about your fluency level?
It can, yeah, sometimes. Precision often signals confidence and, well, a deeper command of the language. So let's tackle get first, because that word is, it's a real chameleon, isn't it? Its meaning just shifts all over the place depending on the context.
Totally.
So the right alternative really depends on what get actually means in that specific sentence. Let's start with maybe the most common use when something, comes to you. Acquisition.
Okay, right. Like when get means to receive something or obtain it, something comes into your possession. What are our options?
Well, you've got some excellent choices there. Receive is great. It's a bit more formal, often used for emails, documents, that kind of thing.
Okay.
If you actually went somewhere to pick something up, collect is perfect.
Collect. Got it.
And if you work to get something, or in more formal, maybe academic situations, obtain is really good.
Right. So instead of I got your email, I'd say I received your email yesterday. Sounds more professional.
Exactly. Much better for work contexts.
Or please collect your badge at reception, not get your badge.
Yes, it implies going there to retrieve it.
And for something more formal, we obtain permission to start the project.
It implies effort, right?
It does. It suggests a process was involved.
So just to check, I've got this. Receive, someone gave it or sent it. Collect, you went to get it. Obtain, formal process or effort.
That's a perfect summary. Receive implies being given. Collect implies retrieval. Obtain implies acquisition through effort or formality.
Excellent. Okay. Now, what about get, meaning become?
Yeah.
That's super common, especially for changes emotions. Yes. For this, meaning become itself is a good, slightly more formal alternative. If the change is gradual, happening over time, grow works really well.
Whoa. Okay.
And for a sudden, maybe dramatic change, turn is often the best fit.
So not she got nervous, but she became nervous before the presentation. Just sounds smoother.
It does. It clearly marks that shift in state.
Oh, he grew more confident after practice. That implies the gradual improvement.
Right, the slow buildup.
And The sky turned dark before the storm, much more vivid than got dark.
Absolutely. Captures that sudden shift.
What about something like get sick? Is become sick always better? Or is that a bit tricky?
That's a really good question. It shows the nuance. Now, became sick is grammatically fine, more formal, yes. But honestly, get sick is incredibly common, very natural in everyday chat. Sometimes, though, I caught a cold sounds even more natural than I got a cold. It's just, picking it up from somewhere.
Ah, caught. Yeah, that makes sense.
The main point is get sick means to become ill, not to receive illness. So become works if you want formality or to emphasize the change itself.
That distinction with caught is helpful.
Oh.
Okay, next one. Get, meaning understand. Hear this all the time.
Yep. And understand is the clear standard replacement. Nothing wrong with it. If you mean a deeper level of understanding, like really getting it, grasp is a great word.
Grasp, like grabbing the idea.
Kind of, yeah. And in more formal or academic writing or speaking, comprehend is the precise term.
So I understand what you mean is just clearer, more professional than I get what you mean.
Yes, silly.
Or if someone really figured out something complex, she quickly grasped the main idea. It really shows that depth.
Oh, exactly.
And for, say, instructions, the students comprehended the text. Sounds much more thorough.
Precisely. It implies full understanding.
Okay, another big one. Get, meaning arrive.
Right. Here, arrive is your standard neutral go-to, works in most situations. And if you want to emphasize finally reaching a specific place, especially after some effort or a journey, reach is often better.
So instead of we got to the hotel, it's simply we arrived at the hotel at noon. Clean, clear. But if it was, like a tough climb, he reached the summit. That conveys the achievement much better than he got to the summit.
Absolutely. Reach carries that sense of destination achieved.
Okay, last one for get, I think. What about get meaning earn? This feels like a good one to upgrade.
Oh, definitely. When effort is involved, when you've worked for it, earn is the word. And if you've successfully achieved something after effort, maybe something valuable or difficult to get, secure is a strong alternative.
Secure, okay.
Obtain can fit here too, as we said, if it implies effort. But earn and secure often feel a bit stronger about the work involved or the success.
Got it. So she earned a promotion, not just got one. It says so much more about her work.
Exactly. It highlights the merit.
And for a team effort, they secured funding for the project. Sounds way more impressive than they got funding. Highlights the success.
Definitely emphasizes the achievement. Okay, so that's get covered in quite some detail. Now let's switch gears and look at take.
Right. Another super common one.
Yeah, and just like get, take has several common uses where a more specific verb adds a lot of nuance and clarity. And you'll find once you start noticing these, your English just feels richer.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's break down take.
Oh.
How about when it means like removing something or carrying it away?
All right. For a precise, maybe more formal meaning, remove is excellent. If you're specifically talking about money from a bank or a formal removal, withdraw is the word.
Withdraw, okay.
And if you're taking something out from within something else, think dentist. Extract is the specific verb.
Extract, right. So not take your shoes off, but please remove your shoes. Sounds more polite somehow.
It does, a bit more formal and clear.
And obviously he withdrew cash, not he took cash. Standard for banking. And yeah, the dentist example. The dentist extracted a tooth. Way more precise than took out a tooth. And maybe slightly less scary.
Maybe. It certainly sounds more clinical and precise. That clarity really counts.
Okay, what if take means to capture or hold something? This feels like it could vary a lot.
You're absolutely right, it does. For just neutral, everyday holding. Hold is usually the best, most direct word. Simple as that.
Just hold. Okay.
If you mean holding something firmly, deliberately, grasp is great. It gives that sense of a strong grip, intention.
Grasp. Yeah, I can picture that.
And for a more forceful action, or a very quick one, seize is really effective. Think police or grabbing an opportunity.
Seize. Okay, so she held the baby gently. Much better than she took the baby. Warmer.
Much better, yes. Conveys care.
And if you're really hanging on, he grasped the rope tightly, gives you that image of effort.
Exactly, the tight grip.
And for quick action, police seized the stolen goods. Very impactful.
Implies speed and authority.
Are there common slip-ups here with take versus hold or grasp? Things learners should watch for.
Yeah, the main one is probably just defaulting to take, when hold is simpler and clearer, like describing someone holding a pen, not taking a pen unless they just picked it up. Also, matching the verb's intensity. You wouldn't normally grasp something delicate like a flower, hold is better, so matching the verb to the action and the object.
Right, matching the verb to the object and the force. Good tip. Okay, moving on. Take for travel, like modes of transport.
Yes, this is a common one. Instead of I take my bike, it's much more natural to say I ride my bike to work.
Ride, okay.
For public transport, like buses, trains, often we say catch. Like, we caught the last bus. It implies getting it before it left.
Got a bus, right? Not took the bus.
Usually catch, yeah. And for planes, ships, more formal transport, the correct verb is board. They boarded the plane on time.
Boarded. Okay, that's clear.
It specifically means getting on board the vessel or vehicle.
And finally, for take, what about when it means require? This seems important for work or formal situations.
Absolutely. Precision is key here. Instead of, this job takes patience, you'd usually say, this job requires patience.
Requires. More formal, precise.
Exactly. For everyday needs, you need a visa is perfectly fine, clear, direct.
Need, okay.
And if something is really essential, non-negotiable, the role demands strong leadership skills.
Yeah.
Demand is stronger than require.
Demand. Yeah, that conveys high expectation.
Excellent. Okay, so we have all these great alternatives now for both get and take. But just knowing them isn't quite enough, is it? You need to use them correctly, naturally. Let's talk about some common mistakes people might make when trying this out.
Good idea. The first big one is probably overusing the formal verbs in very casual situations. Imagine saying to your friend at lunch, I procured a sandwich.
Huh. Yeah, it sounds very strange, like you're writing a report. Exactly. It sounds unnatural, maybe even a bit pretentious. Context is everything. Use those formal words like obtain, procure, require when the situation calls for it. Work emails, presentations, formal discussions. But keep it natural and relaxed with friends. The goal isn't to sound like a textbook.
Right. It's about fitting the language to the situation, not just showing off new words. What's another pitfall?
Another one is mixing up the meaning of get, especially become versus receive. We touched on this. Remember, I got a cold. It means I became sick.
Right, not received a cold.
Exactly. Someone didn't hand it to you. So while get a cold is totally natural, idiomatically, understanding that get functions as become helps avoid errors in other contexts. Always think, what's the action? Becoming, receiving, arriving.
That's a subtle but really crucial distinction. Okay, and I imagine idioms and phrasal verbs are a danger zone.
Oh, absolutely. This is huge for intermediate learners. You really cannot just swap out get or take literally within fixed idioms or phrasal verbs.
Okay, give us an example.
So get started. You can replace that with begin or start. Let's begin, let's start. Makes sense.
Right.
But you absolutely cannot say, let's obtain started. It just doesn't work. It's nonsense.
Okay, totally wrong.
Or think of get over it, meaning recover from something. You can't say obtain over it.
Yeah.
Or a plane takes off. It doesn't remove off.
Ah.
These phrases are fixed units of meaning. Get and take are just part of that established phrase.
Yeah.
Trying to swap words breaks the idiom.
So you have to learn those fixed phrases as complete chunks.
Pretty much, yes. Listening to native speakers, reading a lot, that helps you absorb these fixed expressions naturally.
That's such a valuable point. It's not just about individual words, but how they combine. Okay, so for everyone listening wanting to put this into practice, how can they actually remember all these alternatives and start using them effectively? You have any strategies?
Definitely. My number one tip is try to think of the picture. Visualize the action. Before you speak, or even as you're forming the sentence, picture what's happening. Is someone giving something? Receive. Is someone changing? Become. Grow. Turn. Holding tightly. Grasp. Moving somewhere. Arrive. Reach. Once you see that picture, choosing the more specific verb becomes much easier than just defaulting to get or take.
I like that. Make it visual. Makes it more intuitive.
Exactly. And another simple strategy is to learn in pairs. Don't try to memorize a huge list all at once. Just pick one common use, like get an email, and pair it with its best alternative. Get, receive. Then make the simple sentence, I received your email.
Okay, small chunks.
Yes. Or take off shoes or remove shoes. Please remove your shoes. Practicing these pairs helps build those mental connections and makes them more automatic over time.
Makes sense. And what about focusing the practice?
Yeah, that's the third tip. Practice by topic. Choose a theme you talk about often. Maybe your work, or travel, or hobbies, or shopping. Then, just for that topic, make a conscious effort to replace get and take whenever you can. It makes the task feel less daunting, more manageable, and you see results quickly in conversations that matter to you.
That's great. Really actionable advice. And folks, remember, this takes practice. It's okay to try, maybe make a mistake, notice it, and correct yourself next time. There are also good exercises you can find, things like replace the verb quizzes or choose the best fit activities online or in books. They can help solidify this after our chat. Consistent effort is key.
Absolutely. And just to wrap up the main idea here, this isn't about completely banning get and take. They have their place, especially in casual chat. It's really about becoming more precise, more expressive. It's about making deliberate choices with your words. That leads to clearer communication, more impact, and honestly, it makes you sound more fluent and professional. It's a significant step up for your English.
And when you make those deliberate choices using receive instead of get or require instead of take when it fits, that's when your English really starts to sound more natural, more polished. That's how you genuinely move towards chatting like a native, choosing the right word for the right moment, building confidence with every sentence.
So here's a thought to take away. Think about how even these seemingly small word choices can really shift how people perceive your message and your fluency. What's one specific situation, maybe an email you need to write tomorrow, or a chat with a colleague where you can consciously apply one of these alternatives first?
A perfect question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into making your English clearer and more precise. Keep exploring, keep practicing, and we'll catch you next time on Chat Like a Native.